Okay, imagine a jungle so lush and alive, the Great Whispering Jungle, where the trees are actually tall enough to scrape the clouds, and the waterfalls run with this surreal turquoise water. Right in the beating heart of that jungle was the kingdom of Solaria. And here's the wildest part. For 1,000 years, this entire land had never known the dark. At the center of it all was the royal palace, and high up on the spire of dawn sat the great sun crystal. You've got to think of this thing as more than a gem. It pulsed with a rhythmic golden heartbeat. It provided the warmth, the growth, the very life to everything it touched. Now, Princess Aurora, she was definitely not your typical royal. While her father, King Valerius, was grave, traditional, and took the world very seriously, Aurora was a spark of fire. She had messy, coppery red hair from climbing trees and turquoise eyes that were always searching for the next adventure. This story picks up on the morning of her 20th birthday, the day she was supposed to be crowned the Guardian of Light. The crystal is not just a battery, Aurora, King Valerius told her, his voice heavy, almost strained, as they stood before the glowing gem. It is a lock, and I am the one who turned the key many years ago. Aurora didn't understand. A battery? A lock? She was about to ask what on earth he meant, when the sky did something it had never done in the history of Solaria. It turned a bruising, impossible purple. A piercing cold wind ripped through the jungle, instantly choking the lush leaves and turning them to ash. From a swirl of pitch-black smoke, a figure emerged, terrifyingly beautiful. This was the Shadow Queen, Nocturna. She didn't look like some old hag from a fairy tale. She was elegant, draped in silk woven of midnight and stars, with eyes that burned like violet flames. "Dear father," Nocturna's voice echoed like cracking ice. "Did you think 1,000 years of exile would make me forget the taste of the sun?" With a flick of her wrist, Nocturna launched a spear of pure shadow. It didn't hit the king, it hit the sun crystal. The golden light was instantly choked by black, magical vines of energy. Just like that, the sun in the sky vanished, replaced by a cold, haunting moon. Solaria fell into total darkness. "The light is a lie, Aurora," Nocturna hissed, staring directly at the princess. "Ask our father why he stole the moon from the sky to build his golden cage." With a mocking laugh, Nocturna vanished, taking the king's voice with her, literally. The king fell to his knees, unable to speak, his throat glowing with a purple seal. The kingdom was immediately in a panic. The plants were already wilting, and the people were freezing. Aurora knew she had to act, but there was a catch. Her own light magic had flickered out the moment the crystal was corrupted. She was powerless. Searching the palace basement, she found a strange glowing jar. Inside was Sparky, a tiny glowing ember sprite who moved like a hummingbird on espresso and talked like a hyperactive salesman. "Kid, you look like you need a light, and I look like I need a job. Let's roll," Sparky chirped. Together, they fled the palace. If she was going to save the sun, she had to find the 3 shards of original dawn, hidden in the kingdom's most dangerous terrains. Their first stop was the Caverns of Echoes. Here, the shadows weren't just dark. They were alive, twisting into the shapes of Aurora's deepest fears. "They're just bad vibes, princess. Shine through 'em," Sparky yelled, doing a tiny dance to distract a shadow beast. At that moment, Aurora realized something crucial. Her magic didn't come from the sun. It came from her heart. She let out a scream of determination, and a burst of turquoise light shattered the shadows, revealing the first shard. Next, they traveled to the floating Isles of Mist. Aurora had to navigate crumbling, precarious bridges, while Nocturna's shadow birds pecked at her mercilessly. When Sparky slipped and almost fell into the abyss, she saved him without hesitation, proving her true selflessness. The second shard appeared, glowing with a soft, warm heat. Finally, they reached the abyssal well. At the very bottom sat the third shard, guarded by a giant mirror. But when Aurora looked into it, she didn't see her reflection. She saw the past. The mirror showed King Valerius as a young man. He wasn't a hero, he was a conqueror. He had found the world in a beautiful balance of day and night, but he wanted more. He used a forbidden spell to shatter the moon, using its core to power the sun crystal, so his reign would never be interrupted by sleep or darkness. Nocturna, the princess of the moon, had tried to stop him, but he branded her a witch and cast her into the void. Aurora collapsed, tears stinging her eyes. Her perfect kingdom was built on a crime. Aurora returned to the palace, which was now a fortress of black ice. She climbed the Spire of Dawn, where Nocturna sat upon a throne of shadows. "I've come to take it back," Aurora said, but she didn't raise her sword. She simply held out the three shards. Nocturna laughed. "You think those little rocks can stop the night? I am the night." She unleashed a tidal wave of darkness. Aurora stood her ground. "I'm not here to kill the night, sister. I'm here to give you back what our father took." Aurora slammed the three shards into the corrupted sun crystal. But instead of wishing for the sun to return, she wished for balance. The spire exploded in a blinding mix of turquoise and violet. The black vines didn't break, they merged with the golden light. Aurora reached out her hand to Nocturna. "We were never meant to be enemies," Aurora said. "The world needs the sun to grow, but it needs the moon to rest. We are the two halves of the soul." Nocturna looked at Aurora's hand, the violet fire in her eyes softening into a gentle glow. She took it. The shockwave cleared the sky. The eternal day was gone. For the first time in a millennium, the people of Solaria saw a sunset. The sky turned a beautiful palette of orange, pink, and deep indigo. The stars came out, twinkling like the shards Aurora had found. King Valerius, his voice restored, stood in the courtyard. He looked at his two daughters, one of light, one of shadow, standing together. He bowed his head in shame and gratitude. He stepped down from the throne, realizing his era of forced perfection was over. Solaria transformed. The jungle became even more vibrant as plants adapted to the cool of the night. Aurora became the queen of the day, and Nocturna became the queen of the night. The old story of the frozen princess was out of date. This was the story of the Sisters of the Sky. And as Sparky, the Ember Sprite, would say to the new tourists visiting the kingdom, "Come for the sun, stay for the stars. Just don't touch the crystal, it's sensitive."